Hi all, this is Deepak. Hope you all are doing well. Today in this video we are going to cover a topic like how to create Node.js backend application using Express framework and connect with PostgreSQL database, and we are also going to cover all the CRUD operations. The points which we are going to cover in sequence are like: first we will create a database and table in PostgreSQL. Next we will create a backend application using Node.js and Express framework. Next, like, we will configure the database related attributes and implement all the CRUD operations in order to store or fetch data from the database tables. Finally, we will test our APIs using Postman and verify data in database tables as well as in Postman. So let us start with the first point, which is like creating a database and table in PostgreSQL. Let me open the pgadmin tool. So this is a management tool which provides an interface for creating database and tables and executing queries and all the database related operations. Herein we need to give password which we have set at the time of installation. So we can see under databases we have Postgres database, which is a default database. So inside that we can see under schemas, under public folder, we have various options like aggregates, domains, FTS related options, functions, materialized views, procedures, sequence, tables, types and views. So we are interested in tables. We can right click on that and we have option that create table. So with this we can create any table we want. Now we have two options. We can either create a table inside this default database or we can create a new database altogether. So we can create a new database. We can name it like item master. We can save it. We can see the item master is created with all the default options which are there for the default database. So now we can come to the schemas public folder. Inside that we have tables option. We can simply click on create table and we can create our new table with name item. Next we need to add the columns. So first column we can create as an item ID. We can use serial as a data type and we can make it as a primary key. Next, like, we can add a name. We can select character varying and we can define some length, let's say 250. We can make it as a not null. Next we can add column as a type and again it's a character varying. We can define some length as a 250 and we can select this not null option. And finally we can add one more column with the name as a quantity, and here we can define some data type as an integer. This again we can make it as a not null. We can save it. Now what we have done, like, we have created our new database with name item master. Inside that we have created our new table with name item and with 4 different columns like item ID, name, type and quantity. So with this we are done with our first option, which is like creating database and table. Now next point, we can create like we can create a Node.js backend server using Express framework. Let me open the VS Code first. We can create one folder with name as an item server. You can see it's an empty folder, there is nothing in that. So let us initialize it with command like npm init -y. You can see the package.json is created. Now let us start installing the dependencies or the modules which we need to install. We can use command npm install. We need express, course, nodman and pg. So with this command we are going to install all these dependencies in one go. So you can see all these dependencies added, required dependency. So let me tell you one by one what is the usage of this one. So course, like, we can make use like with course it support us to establish secure and cross like it supports support for secure cross origin request and data transfer between browsers and servers. With Express, like it's a framework, Node.js web-based web application framework that provides broad features for building web and mobile-based applications. With Nodman, like it allows us it will with this it will restart the server automatically, and it will keep on detecting the changes and automatically restart the server. It will ease our development. And finally it's a PG, which it's a collection of Node.js module for interfacing with our PostgreSQL database. So all these required dependencies we have added. So now let us create one more file with name as an server.js. Now let us start adding the packages modules which are required or which we are going to use. First I will add all the required modules and I will explain after that. So what we have done, we have added all the necessary modules. We have imported all the necessary modules like Express framework, course, and here PG to connect with database, and here is the body parser to deal with JSON, and we have used all these modules in our application. Our application is listening to port this one. In case of any error in while listening to port, so it will throw the error, or if it is successfully listening, then in that case it will return this log this message. So let us run our application to check if it is working fine. So next thing we need to add like inside package.json, instead of this index.json we should use server.js, and we need to add some start script like, and here we need to mention normal server.js. Now we can start our application. Yes, we can see server is running successfully on port 3005. This is the port which we have mentioned. Okay, so with this like we have created our backend server using Node.js and Express framework. Now let us configure the database attributes, and next like we will implement the CRUD operations as well along with that. To configure the database, we need to create one variable with pool. Let me all the configurations first, and then I will explain on that. So we are done with our database related properties that here we have mentioned, and here is like we are connecting to our database. On successful connection, it will log this message and release the connection. Once it is completed, we are done with our operations. So for the configuration part, what we have mentioned, like first we have mentioned a user, what is the username, password, and what database we have created. Here in like we have created this atom master database, same we have configured it here. The host name which we are going to use for now, it's a local host, and the port number which is like 5432. If you have changed the port number at the time of installation of PostgreSQL, you can mention the same port name, and the maximum client collections we can mention it here. And here we are connecting to pool and get the connection. So here in case of any error, it will throw that error, otherwise it will connect to the database successfully. And once it is done, once we are done with all the operations, we can release the connection. So the advantage of using the pool is like we can create as many connection as we want, and we can release once we are done with, or those are no longer in use. Okay, fine. So it is, we can see the we have connected to database successfully. The message is it is logging as expected. So now let us implement the APIs. First of all, we can use get all atoms. So we can mention the endpoints as a atom/atoms. So we are done with our first API, which is like getting all the atoms. What we have done, we have this is the get method, HTTP get method we are using, and here like it's an endpoint which is /atoms request and response we are passing. We are preparing the query select star from atom, so that we will get all the atom records from atom table. And here we are executing the query passing the SQL which we have prepared, and here the error and result object. In case of error, it will throw the error, and in case of success, status as a success, then it will return the response as a all the result or rows, all the atoms from the database. Fine. Now next thing, like we can add the post method. So here we are done with our post method, in which with this like we can add any new item to our database. So what we have done, like we are for the creating the atom, we are going to use http post method. This is the endpoint which is the same as for get API, and here we are defining the constant which makes the our request body. Here we have defined the SQL. Herein we are inserting the atom, and these are the column names. These are the names, name, type and category, and these are the values, placeholders for that. And finally we are executing the query on pool, and this is the SQL which we have prepared, and we are passing the values which are getting from the request. And in case of error we will throw the error. In case of success we will return the result. This status 201 is for created, like once the new atom is created, and then this status code will get set, and post which like it will return the response. So result.rows will return the array of response. So instead of that we can simply return the single array, single entity which have added successfully. Okay, so next thing, like we can add code for patch method, update method. So for update, let me add the code first, and I will. So here we are done with our update method. So what we are doing it here, like we are using HTTP patch method for updation. This is the endpoint atom/atoms, and here we are going to pass the atom ID against which we are going to update the atom object. So here like we are extracting the atom ID from the request. These are the request body, and here we are going to update the actual atom table. We are going to set the name, type and category with placeholders, and this is the atom ID against which we are going to update this. Here the query executing, we are executing this query, and we are passing all these values for the placeholder. And finally we are running the query, and in case of any error it will throw that error, and in case of successful updation it will return this message like the atom is updated successfully for atom id for the given atom id. With this we are done with our patch method. Now let us add one more API for delete method. So we are done with delete method as well. What we have done, like we are going to use HTTP delete method. This is the endpoint, same as for update slash atoms and atom ID. And here we are extracting the atom ID from the request params, and we are preparing the query like delete from atom where atom ID is equal to, this is the placeholder, and we are executing the query by passing this SQL statement and the atom ID against to which the record need to be deleted, and in case of error it will throw the error, or in case of success it will display the message that atom is successfully deleted for the atom ID. So we are done with all the CRUD operations like get, post, patch and delete. So let us add one more get API for returning the particular atom for the given atom ID. We need to extract this ID now here. So with this we are done with all the APIs. So what we are doing it here, like we are going to use the get method, and here is the endpoint slash atoms, and we are passing the atom ID which we need to retrieve. Here is the query for that, and in where clause we are passing the atom ID. So we are passing this atom ID while executing the query, and in case of success it will return the that particular atom record against this atom ID. So with this we are done with our second last point, which is implementing CRUD operations to store or fetch the data from the database. Now let us test our APIs using Postman and verify the data in Postman as well as in database tables. So let us do that. So let me open the Postman first. The port number which we are using, it's a 3005. We need to use the same port number. So choose body as a raw and text as a JSON. So we can click on send. So right now it is showing the empty array, which is as expected because we do not have any data in database table. Let us cross check it once. Can execute this query. So you can see there is no entry in database, only the table columns it is showing. So now let us add the new atom using the post method. we can copy the fields which we need to add as an input. These are the inputs. So we have prepared one record which need to be added. So let us send it and check. So this is instead of category, it should be quantity. And same, we need to edit it here. So we can see the record is added successfully. Now instead of returning the array, here we can see it is returning an array. This is an array. Instead of returning an array, it should return the only object which is inserted. So let us add one more object to check. Quantity 3. You can see second record is added as well. Now we can cross check by calling the. So here instead of returning array, it is simply returning the only object. So you can cross check by executing the get method. Now we can see there are two records in array for item id 1 and for item id 2 which we have just added. Now next thing, like we can add check one more method like we have added for returning the particular id object for a particular id. So let us pass some id and check. So it is giving the result as expected. Now let us add the code for patch method. Let us test our patch method herein, like we are going to use patch method, and here we need to pass the object which need to be atom id which need to be modified. Simply click on send button. So here we need to update something. Let us update something. So here the same mistake is there. Instead of category, it should be quantity. Okay, fine. Now let us check. Yes, we can see atom is updated successfully for atom id 2. So this is the message which is coming after successful updation of the id. Now let us check in our using get method. You can see the object is updated as expected. This is the patch method. Now let us cross check in database as well. Now we can run this query again to check. So we have these two records which we have just inserted, and this is the updated record. Now let us call the delete method. Yes, we can see the item is deleted successfully for item ID 2. So let us cross check it in by calling the get all methods. So if you try to call the second item, it is not showing any because we have deleted that. Now if we try to call all the items, then it will show a single item in our. Now we can cross check in database once. There is only one entry now. Yes, which is as expected. Let me add one more entry. Let's say it's a third. It's a third, fifth. Yes, we can check in database. Yes, we can see it is working fine. So with this, we are done with all the CRUD operations, and we have tested all those in Postman as well as in PostgreSQL database. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe the same. Thank you so much for watching this video.